Today I am going to teach you about the rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease. So, how the rheumatic fever caused, and gradually over the time the rheumatic fever may progress to the chronic rheumatic heart disease. So, rheumatic fever is an acute, non-suppurative, immunologically mediated multi-system inflammatory disease occurs a few weeks after an episode of group A beta hemolytic streptococcal infection or the streptococcal pharyngitis. The rheumatic fever affects the heart, joint, central nervous system, skin, and subcutaneous tissue. Rheumatic fever may progress over time to lead to the chronic rheumatic heart disease, of which valvular abnormalities are the key manifestation. So, the chronic stage of the rheumatic fever uh, may lead to the rheumatic heart disease, in which there is a valvular abnormality occurs and usually affect the mitral valve and may lead to the mitral stenosis. So, epidemiology of the acute rheumatic fever usually affects the age between 5 to 15 years of age, rare before 4 years, and after 30 years of age. Girls are affected more than boys. Family incidence or family history occur in 50% of the cases. The incidence related to the frequency and severity of the streptococcal pharyngeal infection. More during winter and early spring season. Some environmental factors like poor sanitation, poverty, overcrowding may lead to the greater spread of infection following epidemics of streptococcal infection. So, what are the etiopathogenesis of the acute rheumatic fever? So, in the acute rheumatic fever, usually there is a delayed immune response to infection with a group A beta hemolytic streptococci. So, what do you mean by delayed immune response? So, delayed immune response usually it is a delayed type of hypersensitivity reaction that takes 12 to 24 hours for the development of sign and symptom. Patient have the history of throat infection after a latent period. So what is the latent period? Latent period is the period between the infection with the virus or the bacteria and the onset of the symptoms. So after a latent period of 1 to 3 weeks, antibody developed and antibody induced immunological damage occur to the heart valves, joint, subcutaneous tissue, and basal ganglia. Subsequent attacks are associated with exacerbation of the rheumatic fever. Antibody or antibiotics lower the incidence and severity of the rheumatic fever. Elevated titers of antibody to antigen of beta hemolytic streptococci are occur. So symptoms occur after 2 to 3 weeks after the infection. Organism cannot be isolated from the lesion in the target tissue. Antibodies against the M protein. So M protein is the virulence factor of the streptococcus. These M proteins may cross-react with the glycoproteins in the heart, joints, and other tissue and may form the immune complex. Patients with rheumatic fever have elevated titers of anti-streptolysin O and S, anti-streptokinase, anti-streptohyaluronidase, and anti-DNase B. So the antibody against the cell wall polysaccharide of group A, Streptococcus, cross-reactive against the cardiac valves, and their levels are elevated in patients with cardiac valvular involvement. Antibodies against the hyaluronate capsule may cross-reactive against the human hyaluronate present in the joints, and membrane antigens cross-react with the smooth and cardiac muscles may lead to the dermal fibroblasts and neurons of the caudate nucleus. So in the diagram, so these are the etiopathogenesis of the acute rheumatic fever. So environmental factors, especially the overcrowding or the poor sanitation, may lead to the repeated attack of group A streptococcal infection. So some precipitating events like infection with a strain of the group A streptococcus carrying a specific virulence factors or the M proteins. So susceptible host may lead to the priming of the immune response. So first episode of acute rheumatic fever, repeated or ongoing infection, possibly driving the valvular inflammatory response, may lead to the recurrent episode of the recurrent acute rheumatic fever, may progress to the rheumatic heart disease. So there is a progression of the rheumatic heart disease. So molecular mimicry between the group A streptococcal antigen and host tissue and may lead to the exacerbation of the T cell mediated immune response. So these are the pathogenetic pathway of the acute rheumatic fever and how the acute rheumatic fever over time may progress to the rheumatic heart disease. In the diagram, these are the etiological factors in the rheumatic heart disease. So suppose there is an infection with a group A streptococcal infection or like a streptococcal pharyngitis. So there is activation of the T cells, usually CD4 T cell. The T cell activated by the streptococcal antigens and B cell produce streptococcal antibody. So antibody and T cell cross react with antigen of the cardiac, sacrolima and valvular glycoprotein and from the immune complex, and this immune complex may lead to the myocarditis and may lead to the valvulitis. So repeated antigen exposure may lead to the chronic rheumatic heart disease, and in the chronic rheumatic heart disease there is involvement of the aortic valve, mitral valve, tricuspid valve, may lead to the bacterial endocarditis, mitral stenosis, aortic stenosis, tricuspid stenosis and pericarditis. So these are the different complication or the sign of the chronic rheumatic heart disease. So these are the pathogenesis of the acute rheumatic fever. Now the features suggestive of the acute rheumatic fever or a infection, like patient usually have 5 to 15 years of age, presentation in winter and early spring, have the fever, headache, sudden onset of sore throat, nausea, vomiting and abdominal pain, pain with swelling, BP, swollen and red vulva or vulvulitis, soft palate petechia, that is also known as the Dagnut lesion, tendon, enlarged anterior cervical nodes, and tonsillopharyngeal erythema and exudates. So GABH is the group A beta hemolytic streptococci, acute rheumatic fever. So in the diagram here you see the redness and swelling of the throat and tonsils. BP means fleshy. The BP swollen and red vulva, soft palate और petechia जिसको हम लोग डॉगनेट लीजन्स बोलते हैं, एंड देयर इज ए टॉन्सिलोफेरेंजियल इरिथमा एंड एक्सुडेट, सोर थ्रोट फीवर, white draining patches on the throat and swollen or the tender lymph nodes in the neck. Now the criteria. So Duquette-Jones criteria, these are the major and minor criteria introduced in the 1944 for the diagnosis of rheumatic heart disease or rheumatic fever, undergone significant modification and the final ones published in the 2002. So revised WHO criteria for the rheumatic heart disease is are a primary episodes of the rheumatic fever or the recurrent attack of rheumatic fever in patient without a rheumatic heart disease, recurrent attack of rheumatic fever with rheumatic heart disease, rheumatic chorea, insidious onset of rheumatic carditis and chronic rheumatic heart disease. Now the manifestation are the major manifestation and minor manifestation. The major manifestation are the migratory polyarthritis of the major joints, carditis, usually pancarditis, Sydenham's chorea, subcutaneous nodule, erythema marginatum of the skin. So preceding evidence of streptococcal infection along with positive throat culture and elevated streptococcal antibody. Minor criteria: the non-specific signs and symptoms like fever and arthralgia, elevated blood levels of acute phase reactants like ESR, erythroid sedimentation rate, and CRP, C-reactive protein, and previous history of the rheumatic fever. It is important to note that in context of a preceding streptococcal infection, usually two major criteria or a combination of one major and two minor provide the reasonable evidence for the diagnosis of the acute rheumatic fever. So the Jones revised criteria for the guideline in the diagnosis of rheumatic fever. So in the diagram you see there is a major manifestation like carditis, polycarditis, chorea, erythema marginatum, subcutaneous nodule. In the minor manifestation, one is the clinical and another is the laboratory finding. In the clinical, there is a previous history of rheumatic fever or rheumatic heart disease, arthralgia fever, and in laboratory there is a increased level of the acute phase reactant like ESR and C-reactive protein. There is leukocytosis or the prolonged PR interval in the ECG finding. And supporting evidence of the streptococcal infection may be the increased titer of anti-streptococcal antibody, जिसको हम लोग ASO titer भी बोलते हैं. Others may be the positive throat culture for the group A beta streptococcal infection and recent scarlet fever. So in the presence of two major criteria or one major and two minor criteria indicate the high probability of the acute rheumatic fever if supported by the evidence of group A streptococcal infection. So these are the recommendations of the American Heart Association. So diagram that show the different signs and symptoms of the acute rheumatic fever. Now come to the one by one. So first one is the major manifestation. So one is the arthritis. So the arthritis is the fleeting migratory polyarthritis involving the major joint. So what do you mean by fleeting and fleeting? So fleeting means transient and fleeting means jumping from one joint to another joint. So there is a fleeting migratory polyarthritis involving the major joints. Larger joints usually affected are the knees, ankles, wrist and elbow. Rheumatic joints are usually hot, red, swollen and tender, and friction of the bed cloths is uncomfortable, so you feel like this. So this arthritis occur in 80% of the cases, and arthritis does not progress to the chronic disease. Arthritis is the earliest manifestation of the acute rheumatic fever, correlate temporally with peak anti-streptococcal antibody titers, and there is an inverse relationship between the severity of the arthritis and the severity of the cardiac involvement. In children below 5 years of age, arthritis is usually mild, but carditis are more prominent. Now the carditis. So carditis manifest as a pancarditis. So there is involvement of the myocardium, pericardium and endocardium occur in 40 to 50% of the cases. Carditis is the only manifestation of the rheumatic fever that leaves a sequelae and permanent damage to the organ. Valvulitis occur in acute phase, and in the chronic phase there is a fibrosis, calcification and stenosis of the heart valve that may lead to the fish mouth appearance of the valve. Now the Sydenham's chorea. So Sydenham's chorea usually is a neuropsychiatric disorder, occur in 5 to 10% of the cases, often occur in pre-pubertal girls between 8 to 12 years of age. Late manifestation usually 6 months after an attack of acute rheumatic fevers, and there is a like a carelessness, deterioration of the handwriting, emotional lability like rapid and agitated changes in the mood, and there is a grimacing of the face. So there is a expression of pain in the face. So and there is elevated titers of anti-neuronal antibody against the basal ganglion tissue that have been found in the over 90% of the patient. So these are the diagram that show the Sidham's chorea. In the Sidham's chorea, there is a so in the Sidham's chorea, there is a involuntary in the diagram show the involuntary rapid and purposeless movement of the body. So these are the neurological disorder. Now come to the erythema marginatum. So erythema marginatum is usually rare finding, occur in less than 3% of the patient with acute rheumatic fever. It consists of erythematous serpiginous macular lesion with pale contents that are not pruritic, more on the trunk and extremities, not on the face, and it is often associated with the chronic carditis. So here you see in the picture, so there is a erythema marginatum. Now the subcutaneous nodule. So subcutaneous nodule also is a rare finding, occurring less than 1% of the patient with acute rheumatic fever. It consists of firm nodules approximately 1 centimeter in diameter along the extensor surface of the tendons near bony prominence like joints, spine, scapula and scalp, associated with a strong seropositivity and always associated with a severe carditis. So here you see in the diagram, so these are the subcutaneous nodule. So nodules of the rheumatic arthritis are usually larger. Now come to the minor manifestation. So minor manifestation first in the arthralgia. So in the absence of polyarthritis as a major criteria and fever, typically the temperature are usually more than 102 degree Fahrenheit and occur early in the course of the illness. So one is the arthralgia and other is the fever. Now come to the laboratory minor manifestation. So there is a elevated acute phase reactant like C-reactive protein, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, and there is a polymorphonuclear leukocytosis. So there is a increased neutrophil counts and there is a increased total leukocyte counts. In ECG finding, there is a prolonged PR interval on the electrocardiogram, that is also known as first degree heart block. So there is high ESR, anemia, leukocytosis, elevated C-reactive protein, ASO titer are usually more than 200 Todd units, peak value attained at 3 weeks and comes down to the normal by the 6 weeks. There is anti-DNA B test are positive and throat cultures are also positive. ECG, there is a prolonged PR interval, second and third degree blocks like ST, depression and T-wave inversion, and in the echocardiography there is a valve edema, mitral regurgitation, left atrium and left ventricular dilation, and there is a also pericardial effusion. Now come to the morphological changes. So morphological changes are the one is the there is a focal interstitial involvement of the all three layers of the heart, that is known as the pancarditis. So the pathognomonic features of the rheumatic fevers are there is development of Escroft nodules or the Escroft body. So Escroft nodules or the Escroft body, usually it is the focal inflammatory lesion that are found in the various tissue. These are the distinctive lesions that occur in the heart and it is known as the Escroft body. This Escroft body, which consists of the foci of the lymphocyte, mainly the T cells, occasional plasma cells, and there is a clump of activated macrophages that is also known as the anisco cells. These are the pathognomic features of the rheumatic fever. So these Escop nodules are usually 1 to 2 millimeter tiny structure found in the vicinity of the small blood vessels in the endo and myocardium. In the different stages, in the early exudative stage, so there is a edema and increase in acid myelopolysaccharides. There is fibrinoid degeneration of the connective tissue. In the intermediate proliferative or the in the granulomatous stage, there is inflammatory cell infiltration and proliferation of the clump of macrophages that is known as the anisco cells, resulting in the formation of the Escop nodules. So macrophages have the abundant foamy cytoplasm, vesicular nucleus with chromatin distributed in a slender wavy ribbons, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं caterpillar cells or the all eye appearance. So these caterpillar cells fuse to form multinucleated Escop giant cell. In the late stage or the later healing or fibrous stage, there is a development of fibrocollagenous scar after or at the 12 weeks of the rheumatic fever. So in the diagram here you see the Escop body, and these are the high power view of the Escop body or the Escop nodules. Now the aniscomyocyte or the anisco cells present only in the heart lesion. It is a cardiac histiocyte which show the increased cytoplasm with a highly scattered bar of chromatin in the center of the nucleus, that is known as caterpillar cells or the caterpillar nucleus. Now the cardiac rheumatic lesion. So there is involvement of the pericardium, myocardium and endocardium, may be involved the valvular and mural compartment. So pericarditis, in pericarditis maybe the serofibrinous and fibrinous pericarditis is exudate called bread and butter pericarditis. In myocarditis, there is a development of scattered Escop nodules in the interstitium seen as an granuloma. So in the diagram you see there is a pericarditis. So these are the fibrinous or the serofibrinous exudate. So these are the picture that show the rheumatic pericarditis. Now the mural endocarditis. In the mural endocarditis or the mural endocardium, there is a development of a patch or the plaque that is known as the Meckelum patch that are present in the subendocardial thickening or the subendocardial aggregate of the Escop body, followed by the fibrosis, and these are usually present in the posterior wall of the left atrium. Now the valvular endocardium is the most harmful effect of the rheumatic disease. It is due to the involvement of the cardiac valve. So the diagram or in the picture show the Meckelum patch or the plaque. Now the valve involvement. So the rheumatic fever usually involve the mitral valve in the all cases. 50% of the cases usually the aortic valve, in 33% of the cases tricuspid valve and mural endocardium layer. So the mitral valve most common involvement occur in the women, aortic valve most common in men, tricuspid valve is rarely affected, and pulmonary valve is never affected. Now the continued work of the inflamed valves, loss of endothelium along the line of contact. So due to the trauma, the endocardial injury followed by adherence of the platelets and fibrin deposit forming the minute pale thrombi that is called rheumatic vegetation. So there is development of the rheumatic vegetation. This vegetation develop with the continued work of the inflamed valves and with the loss of endothelium along the line of the contact, and these vegetations usually contain the platelets and fibrin deposit, and there is a minute pale thrombi. In course of the time, these vegetations are the organized. So features of the rheumatic vegetation: the size of the vegetation are usually pinhead, sessile, arranged in rows and firmly fixed to the underlying tissue. Hence there is no embolism situated along the line of closure of the valve leaflet few millimeter away from the free margins. So in the most traumatized area, vegetation situated in the auricular surface of the mitral valve and ventricular surface of the aortic valve. So in the picture, show the rheumatic vegetation of the mitral valve. So these are the rheumatic vegetation. Now come to the chronic rheumatic heart disease. So development of the chronic rheumatic heart disease. So there is organization of the inflammation and gradually healed by the fibrosis, and there is development of the deformities. Permanent deformity of the valves may lead to the leaf thickening, commissure fusion, shortening, thickening and fusion of the contractini of the valve. Most frequent cause of mitral stenosis, that is in 99%. So there is development of the fish mouth of the buttonhole stenosis of the mitral valve in the rheumatic heart disease. Mitral stenosis in 65 to 70% of the cases, and mitral valve involvement along with aortic valve involvement both occur in 25% of the cases. So these are the flow diagram that show how the streptococcal infection may lead to the development of the acute rheumatic heart disease, and finally there is a development of the chronic rheumatic heart disease and involvement of the valve, cardiac myocytes and the different layers of the pericardium. Now come to the mitral stenosis. So the acute rheumatic fever or the rheumatic fever, usually there is a gradually there is a development of fibrosis, and this fibrosis may lead to the valvular deformity and usually affect the mitral valve. So mitral valve or valvular abnormality are the key manifestation of the rheumatic heart disease. So mitral stenosis, there is a thickening by fibrosis or the calcification, valve leaflet fuse and become stiff. This is narrow the opening and prevent flow of blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle. So there is a increase in the left atrium pressure increases and left atrium dilates, pulmonary artery pressure increases and right ventricular hypertrophy may occur, pulmonary congestion and rheumatic heart fevers, rheumatic heart failure occur. Left ventricle normal in mild cases. These are asymptomatic. With progression, there is development of dyspnea, orthopnea, cough and hemoptysis. So these are the fish mouth appearance of the mitral valve. Now the cause of death in the rheumatic heart disease usually due to the cardiac failure, bacterial endocarditis, embolism from the thrombus in the left atrium, sudden death from the aortic stenosis or the ball thrombus in the left atrium. Now the fate of the rheumatic fever, there may be the complete resolution or the organization with the adhesion between two layers of the pericardium, that is known as adhesive pericarditis, or the adhesive pericarditis with adhesion to the mediastinal structure may due to adhesive mediastinal pericarditis, and there is a milk spot on the inferior surface of the left ventricle. It is unresolved patch of the rheumatic pericarditis with healing by the organization. Now the prevention of rheumatic heart disease: treat streptococcal throat with penicillin or other antibiotics. With recurrent infection, continuous monthly or daily antibiotics treatment. Thank you.